over by battling some important battles for the American people. What comes to mind is you were one of the, as we documented on this program a while ago, you were one of the first people to really target or work on this issue about the prosecutor firings.
Right.
You are an attorney.
Yes.
You are an attorney, so you understood the issue, I think, better than many of your colleagues. And you really went after this. Where are we at right now in the whole scandal of the prosecutor firing?
Sure. Well, it's interesting because when the whole issue of the fired U.S. attorneys took center stage, the question became, were people fired for political motivations to try to help one party over the other win elections? And we had enough evidence that I believe the answer was yes. Little did we realize that once we scratched the surface, there were a whole host of illegal and bad acts going on within the Department of Justice. Now, to me, that almost crushes at me, because the Department of Justice is the watchdog. It's supposed to enforce the laws.
The Department of Justice
against everybody. Yeah, it's supposed to dispense justice in a way that is fair and that is free from favor or from fear. So, the fact that the IG, Inspector General, and the Office of Professional Responsibility, for example, came out with a detailed report saying that, yes, career attorneys in the Department of Justice were denied promotions or were not even hired based on their political affiliation, or in one case, a very qualified man who was going for a promotion to a better position that dealt with terrorism was not given the job because his wife was active in the Democratic Party, and yet they gave the job to somebody who was completely inexperienced. That doesn't serve the U.S. public well, and I think there should be outrage that we've allowed the Republican administration to manipulate the Department of Justice so that they are doing the bidding of the Republican Party. That should outrage everybody, regardless of what party you come from.
Now, on the legal front, because people ask me about this question, and could you explain that people say, well, every administration gets to pick their own people, but these jobs are supposed to be, legally, these jobs are supposed to be different. Isn't that correct?
Career positions within the Department of Justice, there are some appointed positions, which are political appointees, but there are the vast majority of jobs there are career employees. They are people who are hired not based on their political allegiance, but based on their qualifications and their ability to do the work of the Department of Justice. Well, they took those jobs, which specifically it's DOJ policy and it's in the civil service laws, that you cannot hire or fire or promote or fail to promote people based on anything other than, their performance. They used that and they twisted it and they made it a political thing. And that was to our country's detriment, because we do not have the qualified people we should have because of the politicization that went on there.
Now, since then, you've issued subpoenas. Karl Rove just didn't show. Did he just not show up?
He just didn't show up, and then it was so cute because. Then the ranking member on my subcommittee said, "Oh, well, did you know that he was going to be out of town?" And I was just like, "Look, neither his attorney nor he said that was the reason they weren't coming. They said they weren't coming because they have immunity, that they're covered by executive privilege." And he basically scoffed at Congress. And you know what? We went after him. We said, "Do you think that you can ignore a congressional subpoena? I got news for you, sweetie. You, just like any other citizen in this country, have to appear before Congress when we ask you to. It's not an optional thing."
Right.
And we were vindicated because in a civil court case, the court ruled that they cannot simply refuse to show up for questioning. They have to come and present themselves before Congress and answer questions that we put to them. If they believe that they are asked questions that are, and the answers are covered by privilege or immunity, then they can assert that on a question-by-question basis. But they can't just skip it. Can't just skip out.
Well, good for you. Now, on the personal level, this is a pretty mean guy. Karl Rove, you and I have been in politics for a long time. We know the type of operator he is, and he's the worst of the worst.
Every dirty trick and underhanded, thing that he can.
Don't you worry a little bit, Linda?
I do worry a little bit, but you know what? It's not me who is going to stand up for the people in this country, and I think it's worth the risk. I'd like him to come after me because I'd like to compare my dirty laundry to his, because I'll bet you $100 the skeletons he's got hiding in his closet are 10 million times worse than the ones that I've got in mine.
Oh, we'll be
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
We'd be talking about it all day here. I'll guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. Linda, I could see your press people to give me the. Are we okay? I've got a couple more minutes.
A couple more minutes.
Okay, good. I know. They've been. You've got a great staff, by the way. They've been really great with them. So the next step for this is, I mean, do you reissue a subpoena? Do you call for him to? I mean, what happens next?
No, it deals with contempt, and
Okay.
Because he's failed to show up and he's obligated to show up, we can pursue several different kinds
Right.
of contempt. Criminal contempt is where we basically go to the Attorney General and say, we want you to enforce the subpoena and make him show up. Well, Attorney General McCasey,
Right.
is doing the bidding of the Bush administration, and he has said, I won't force people to show up. So that's not really a good option. It's not going to get us anywhere. And by the way, I think it's shameful that our, top cop who's supposed to be working for the people is refusing to do that. We have a couple options. We have civil contempt, which is an option in the court system. We also have what's called inherent contempt power, and that's where Congress can hold him in contempt and have a trial within the Congress. They'll appoint a special committee to hold a trial and then figure out, if he is in contempt, what should be done with him. Do we lock him up? Do we fine him for every day that he didn't show up? And answer
I'd say all of the above. Let me weigh in right now. I think all of the above.
I'd like to see all of the. Nobody should be above the law, and I think we really need to hold them accountable and hold their feet to the fire. Interestingly enough, Republicans are always about personal responsibility until they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and then they're like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Oh, this is different. Oh, the law doesn't apply to us. Well, it does, and I'd like to see it applied equally. So, in my dream of dreams, I would love to see Karl Rove in jail. I think he deserves to be there for his contempt. He's been so contemptuous of Congress, thinks he's above the law. And I'd like, he's willing to talk about it in the press, but he's not willing to come before Congress and talk to us about it.
Well,
so what is he hiding?
Well, that's a good question. Attorney General McCasey also, while he allows Karl Rove to ignore this subpoena, actually today, I guess we're supposed to believe, coincidentally, launched 3 more raids on undocumented workers throughout this country. These raids have really become a stain on this country's human rights record. Is there anything that we can do about this?
Well, we have had some hearings to look into the process by which they're doing these raids, because we believe that there are some serious due process rights that are being violated, and the way in which they're conducting them are very inhumane. So we are sort of looking into it, and really that's what's at stake in this next election. Do you want 4 more years of an imperial presidency where they think they can, twist the law to suit their ends, or are we going to have somebody in leadership who is reasonable, who is rational, who supports the Constitution and upholds the laws of this country? And that's why I'm supporting Barack Obama, and I hope everybody else will be voting for him too.
Congresswoman Linda Sanchez, so great to catch up with you here at the Democratic National Convention. Thanks for spending time with me today.
Always good to see you, Mario.
I'll talk to you soon. And that's Congresswoman Linda Sanchez right here live from the Democratic National Convention. You're listening to the one and only Mario Solis Marit Show. It's 14 minutes after the hour.